Pleiadians, The Great Journey to Earth. Pleiadian Light Force Transmission 22-12-021. Channeled by Michael Love. A special message to the starseeds of New Earth for immediate planetary broadcast. The Pleiades often tell stories designed to bring you to higher levels of consciousness. It is not so much about the story, but about how it is encoded to trigger your memories. The data in this transmission is derived from direct Pleiadian channeling, from NEDs, from professional quantum hypnosis sessions, and certain prehistorical data comes from the Lemurian scrolls passed down by the Great White Brotherhood. Tonight we will tell you the story of your great journey to planet Earth. You have heard stories, but there is more. There is the whole story. The whole story has to do with your entire soul, which includes many versions of you operating on many dimensional levels and across the perceived vastness of space-time. All systems in standby mode for Mission Earth. Prepare and brace for acceleration. Great One. As you unlock the divine mystery of who and what you truly are, you awaken to the actual and magnificent memories of your ancient past. As you work to raise your vibration, you will notice vivid and very real memories flooding into your consciousness. Your DNA is a living history of truth and life that holds the code and blueprint of identity, the plan for existence, the history of the universe, and the history of life on Earth. Every detailed memory of your existence in every dimension and in every perceived time and space is recorded and stored forever within the DNA of your cells, and this data can be read back and interpreted by you as memory. Though we have been a species with amnesia, there is a point on your ascension timeline where you will recall everything that happened in your past, even millions of years ago, and even in much higher dimensions. What's more, this includes having memories of events that you did not experience directly. How is this even possible? DNA data transmission, reception, recording, and storage all occur outside of time and space, and since all DNA is entangled at the quantum level, all universal memories of all beings are your memories as well. There is only one set of memories, ultimately. Telling humanity the true story and the whole story is why we came to Earth. Darkness means in the dark or hidden. If one does not have all the information, he is in the dark and walks in darkness. Humanity does not know what happened in the recent past, let alone millions of years ago, and many of the 4.5 billion starseeds of Earth are in the dark still about what happened as well. The story of what happened is the light that shines in the dark, and this is the true story of what happened. 22 million Earth years ago, our direct ancestors were the first civilization to colonize Vega in the Lyran constellation. Lyra exists in the 12th dimension and is the highest resonating area of this universe. We existed in harmony and perfection in the celestial realm of light, and we walked among the archangels and the heavenly host. In time, our ancestors, the original humanoid population of Vega, expanded out and created beautiful settlements on worlds in the Altair and Centauri star systems. While exploring the Ring Nebula, we encountered a lizard-like race that originated from the Draco star system, which claimed the Ring Nebula for themselves, and this is where the galactic wars erupted. Those beings later attacked many of the outposts of Lyra with exotic weapons and amassed a major surprise assault on our homeland of Vega. Many starseeds have a distant but clear memory of this moment because it left a traumatic imprint on our being. Something of this magnitude had never happened before, and we had to think fast as our entire world was being destroyed. You may remember how we quickly fled Lyra in our celestial ships, dodging enemy fire and travelling at light speeds down through several dimensions to get to safety. The refugees from Lyra eventually descended in great light ships down to the 5th dimension and settled in the Sirius, Orion, Arcturus, Andromedan, and Pleiades star systems. Though we were all Lyran human descendants, our star nation names changed to match our new homes in these 5th dimensional star systems. Small groups of these new 5D star nations, primarily the Pleiades, migrated to Earth early on, as the galactic wars eventually made their way to each star system. These first Lyran star travellers to Earth are known as the pre-Adamites that arrived and were on Earth millions of years ago. These grand beings were the Lemurians and Atlanteans of prehistory, advanced humanoids from the Pleiades and ultimately from the Lyra star system. These Lyran humanoids that first came to Earth were the original terraformers of Earth, and they introduced advanced humanoids, ancestors of Erectus, Neanderthal, and Bigfoot, which would later be DNA upgraded by the Anunnaki into modern Homo sapien humans. These original advanced terraformers and world planters left Earth at different periods, and for different reasons, millions of years ago, and returned to the fifth dimension. Some Draco beings, as well as the Greys, from the Zeta Reticuli star system, followed the Lyrian humanoids to Earth millions of years ago, and became involved in seeding planet Earth with life at that time, and later became involved in human evolution and genetics. The territory of Earth and humanity has always been a source of conflict between different ET races, and major wars have been fought in space over the ownership of Earth. On our long journey from Lyra in 12D down to establish our new home in the fifth dimension, a primary challenge was bringing our Lyrian family back together after they had been scattered all across the cosmos. Some groups in the Sirius star system tried marriage between royal lineages to create a dynasty to unite everyone, but many Lyrans refused loyalty to this new dynasty. Members of this new royal dynasty settled on Nibiru, which would shoot out of its original orbit around Sirius C to a path that crosses our inner solar system, then clockwise off to an elongated orbit to Nemesis, the somewhat cooled remains of Sirius C. Royals of the combined would-be Unity Kingdom settled the planet Nibiru. These beings are the Anunnaki. Some factions of this Anunnaki dynasty travelled to Earth 445,000 years ago to obtain gold and mineral resources to save their planet's atmosphere. The Anunnaki fudged around with the universal law of non-interference and created humans by blending their own DNA with humanoids, but that in itself was not such a bad thing. The real problem occurred when the Anunnaki intently programmed the human genome to operate at a very low level, designing humans to be unconscious worker slaves and to worship and service their creators as God. When modern humans were created by the Anunnaki on Earth, they were manipulated and had their consciousness shut down right away, and were placed into extreme bondage and servitude. This endless commercial and religious tyranny on planet Earth would later be the cry that would reach all the way back to heaven in 5D, before the Grand Galactic Federation. Since the Anunnaki of the Sirius star system are the descendants of Lyran humanoids who had an overall benevolent nature, we note that not all of the Anunnaki had bad intentions towards humanity. They themselves were human, just much more advanced and powerful. We always give Enki some credit because he was the benevolent being who compassionately cared about humanity, while his brother Enlil and father Anu were not so kind to humans. Enki's mother was a very benevolent and wise royal Pleiadian princess, and Enki was named after the Pleiades. As Lyran humanoids settled into the various star systems of the fifth dimension, these 5D star nations, with the exception of the Anunnaki of Sirius, came together in unity to form what is called the Galactic Federation of Worlds. The Galactic Federation was formed to share information, resources, guidance, and security for all of its member nations. The Galactic Codex was established by the Galactic Federation as a form of cosmic guidance that promotes goodness and life for all member star nations. A group of 24 elders called the Council of Light serve as wise and benevolent council for the entire Galactic Federation. Though the primary work of the Galactic Federation is focused on the 4-5 main star nations and thousands of smaller members, in some cases, this cosmic guidance, council, even help and security is extended to planets or star nations that are not yet members of the Galactic Federation. Here is where the story gets interesting. We are going to take you back to the exact day and moment when your journey to Earth began. See if you can recall any of this. On that fateful day, 4.5 billion elite members of the Galactic Federation were called upon to be addressed by the Council of Light in a matter of great urgency and importance. We listened closely as the following message came from the Council. We have received an energetic signal of distress from planet Earth. We have heard the voice and the cry of the people of Earth, and they are in bondage and suffering in great tyranny and in darkness. The beings from Sirius C that travelled to Earth to take the gold for Nibiru's skies have created a being there from the hominid. The worker being have they created by combining their own essence with the wild creature. The intelligent being they have created, and they have taught humans how to be civilized, yet humans are still the slaves of the Anunnaki. Look how they make the beings of Earth to worship them. The humans do not know what has happened to them, as the truth is hidden from them. A voice from the High Council said, "We must help them. We must bring light to them. We must tell them the truth about what has happened, and this truth will set them free." Another member of the High Council said, "We must travel to Earth and free these beings from bondage and suffering." We listened, and we heard much discussion among the wise ones about this matter. One asked, "Do we extend our help outside of the Federation?" Another said, "Earth is not evolved enough to resonate at the 5D level. This is outside of our parameters, and maybe it's best we do not get involved." Another council member noted, "The primary tenet of the Galactic Codex is, in alignment with a free will universe, no being or group of beings can interfere in the evolution of any species." After much back and forth discussions, it was finally decided that the correct thing to do was to assist the beings of Earth. Everyone agreed this had to be done, but it seemed to be in direct conflict with the free will tenet of the Galactic Codex. So, how could we do this? The sages asked. The answer came from the wisest of the council when she said, "You cannot interfere directly into the affairs of humans, so the only possible way you will be able to help them is to become one of them." In confusion, we asked, "We do not understand what you mean, Great Councilwoman." She said, "You will have to enter into a human body, and you will have to live as one of them, and under the Galactic Codex, this is the only way you can change their situation without interfering from the outside." She said, "The only way to enter into this human body and live in it is to be born into it as a human infant